Sorry, just 1 second, please. Hello?
Hello, Paul.
Hey, bro, is this the interview?
Yes, it is.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm good. How's things going?
Good. Really good, actually. So,
Thank you for squeezing us in. That's fantastic. Okay, well, let's just get straight into it then, Paul. Just off the top then, what is your opinion of the current music industry right now as we stand?
It's in trouble. Help. We need help. It's in trouble. To elaborate, I think, especially at in the electronic world, a lot of people take music for free, and unless you are lucky enough to be able to go on the road to make money, a lot of people aren't. And the big shift you're seeing, certainly in my world, the electronic world, is producers of music who used to make the music and give them to the DJs to play are now turning into DJs to make money, because they're not making any money as producers, and it's also getting very difficult to share that with people who are incredibly talented and just want to make music and don't want to be on the road, and have no interest in being a performer, and they're not making no money because everyone's taking, not everyone, but most of the people take it for free.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And that's a problem. And what's really disheartening, incredibly disheartening, is that sometimes you come across these great talented people who are, their dream is to make music, produce music, play instruments, and they don't make enough money out of it to make a living. And you see their dream disappear because the reality sets in that they're not going to actually succeed in it, because when they do make tracks, no one's buying them. They're just taking them, and it's a real shame.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's your viewpoint then, Paul, on where do you think it's going to go? Where do you think it's going to end up?
Well, I like the idea. It's a moral idea that you pay what you want for the track, which seems to work. I mean, Radiohead did it with their album, and it just puts the individual on the spot. Some people still won't pay for it, but I don't know. I think you have to bring a system in that, where people can't take piracy, where people can't take music for free. I mean, sometimes you're selling it not even for $1, and people still want to take it. I think it's the culture that you grow up in. Just presume that it's there to be taken.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, obviously DJing and I mean, you don't mind me saying this, but I mean, obviously you're one of the if not the biggest DJs in the world, and have been for an incredible number of years. But I mean, from your point of view, you're obviously you've made a lot of records as well, Paul. I mean, you've been behind a number of. I mean, has sales decreased for you then, or
Absolutely.
So I mean, obviously there's still the sync scenario. There's still the synchronization where you can go on to do adverts. You've done the Big Brother theme track. I mean, how does that relate to? I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to compare incomes here on fees that you would get for DJing, just based on records only. How does that compare to what it did do, say, 5 years ago or 10 years?
Well, it's dropped incredibly. I mean, my first album, I did 1 million records worldwide, and then I had a big wake up call in Russia about 4 or 5 years ago when the record company there told me I'd sold about 50,000 albums, and they said you've probably sold 100,000, but 50,000 of them would have been bootlegs. And I was like shocked, and they said, yeah, that's generally how the industry at that time looked at it, and that's when I kind of realised that it's an ever decreasing circle. Unless you're in that 5% where you have who knows, a little bit of luck, maybe. I mean, with Adele's record, she made a record that appealed to an older generation that wanted to buy an album. I make music to a younger generation who want to just buy singles and expect to get them free. So it depends where you sit, you know.
No, sure.
I think Black Eyed Peas done 15 million downloads and a couple of million albums, when, 10 years ago, there would have been a lot more albums.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's the nature of the beast. So you're even in film, everyone seems to be looking at the financial side of it and saying, well, we can get this done cheaper, we can get that done cheaper, and everyone wants to own more, and they cut your prices. So you're kind of driven to go on the road, and that's where we are at the moment. And
okay, but
it still works to be on the road.
I mean, look, again, you can't. I mean, I don't know if you can't compare to the normal DJ, Paul. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you're at the top of the tree, and again, I've been there for years, so your diary is probably booked well in advance, and so on and so on. But I mean, new DJs or even the producers that we both know are going out there trying to go into the DJing circuit, where you've got yourself and Junior Vasquez's and all these kind of guys that have been around, David Morales, Roger Sanchez, all these guys that are at the cream of the top, but whatever. I mean, there isn't space for new DJs, is there?
No, it's got incredibly competitive at the DJ level, and a lot of DJs are hyping the DJ charts. They're buying likes on Facebook because it's falling into it's basically falling into a number game. And where you had that great DJ who could tell a story through music, unless he's changing with the times and being very competitive in terms of the social media side of things and cross-promotion and content, then he will get left behind, unfortunately, and that's the nature of the business.
I mean, when I DJ'd, Paul, and I DJ'd years ago, with the Technics 1210s, as did you, and then we moved on to, some use the Pioneer CD thing. DJs today are using computer programs, Tractor, whatever. I mean, is that, Ableton or whatever? I mean, is that, what's your view on that? I mean,
Yeah, that's just embracing technology. And you always, I think, embracing change and technology is important. Doesn't mean you have to use it, but you have to be aware of it and change with it to a certain extent. Otherwise, you're just going to get left behind. I mean, there's no DJs now who carry crates and use records, and if they do, they're kind of looked at as very old school.
Yeah, sure.
Now it's unfair to judge them. And if they prefer that, and I prefer the sound of vinyl, but you don't have to do that no more.
No, sure. So, what's your advice then? I mean, to kids, bands, producers. I mean, obviously, there's no room in the DJ circuit. Everyone's trying to jump on a bandwagon. And I look at even guys like David Guetta that who's done really, really well. David Guetta's had a lot of hit records lately. Probably made some money from music. I would imagine he would be one of the few people that's done well in music.
Where he's made a lot of money from music alongside Calvin Harris is the publishing side hasn't changed, and the radio side still hasn't changed. So if you're making those kind of records, you're in the pop world and you're getting played all over the world on radio, and you're getting publishing.
Yeah.
So that side hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm. But what would your advice be to the young kids then that are starting in this industry, Paul? I mean, and starting from scratch, and they want to be in music, they want to be a band, they want to be an artist, a DJ, whatever. What would be your advice?
Well, my advice is that you should first of all be original. Second of all, work incredibly hard. Understand what you're going to do. Practice. I mean, if you're a basketball player and you want to be the best, you got to practice. A lot of these DJs just come into it and think it's press and play and on you go. And that's where you see the difference between a great DJ who will be around for years, like a few of the guys you just named, to all the others who fall to the wayside. So there's a lot of components. luck, breaks, being in the right place at the right time, all that plays into it also. But you just, first of all, got to be really good at what you do, and then hopefully something will come out of it. And when you got people like ourselves who are looking for talent, eventually you'll come across it.
I mean, let me ask you something about yourself then, Paul. I mean, you kind of separated yourself. I had this conversation just the other day with a very, very famous person who was basically in a similar situation to yourself, in as much as that they separated from their peer group, which I think you did quite well. I mean, you managed to. There was a point in your career where you separated from the bunch, and you became this iconic DJ. But when you looked at your DJ sets, it wasn't so much the DJ sets that were. I mean, this was a marketing thing, a promotional thing, perhaps a change of management, a push, or something. I mean, for you to even go from the UK to America was a massive step for you. How did you manage to achieve that? What did you do different?
Well, I had goals. I mean, I got to a point as a DJ and was doing the same circuit, same clubs, and going around in circles, and it wasn't inspiring for me. And on top of it, the music started to get really boring. So I was very fortunate that my father was a big fan of film, that I learned about the film side in terms of music at an earlier age, and had an opportunity to go to Hollywood and score a movie, and was very nervous and was concerned, but it's an opportunity, and you have to grasp certain opportunities, otherwise you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And I thought, you know what, I'll go for it, and if it doesn't happen and I fail, then at least I tried, at least I went, and I think if you've got that attitude, then it usually, if you're good, it usually figures itself out, and that's how I ended up living in Hollywood and scoring movies and games and building from there.
But I mean that is an incredible sort of story, Paul. But I mean the countless. I mean you took chances where others wouldn't, and what we're trying to get across here really is this kind of motivated, positive message coming across from people that have actually done it, and saying, well, to the students, the kids, the people, the reader of the thing is what is the common ingredient here? What is the ingredient that makes
I think it's believing in yourself. I think all the people that I speak to have set the pace, and they've taken chances where others wouldn't, and they have based on the belief that they can do it, the determination that it will happen, and not being scared of failure, because failure doesn't even come into it. You don't even think about that. There's not one thought of failure that comes into your mind.
No,
that's the difference.
And what about music then? I mean, going into I mean, you're saying that music got boring. I mean,
it all sounded the same, very similar to now. Everyone's running around copying one another because they're all wanting to taste the success, rather than sitting back and focusing on what they do and not panicking and rushing around.
Yeah. So do you think that? I mean, for someone looking to make a track, that was going to be my next question. Is someone's making a track, a producer, perhaps a DJ or whatever is making a track, they shouldn't be listening to the charts or what's getting played today. They should be listening to what's coming tomorrow. And obviously, I mean, but what would you do? I mean, if you're going to make a song, you're going to make a track.
Play to your strengths. Play to your strengths on what you've done before, what you're good at, and search for cutting-edge new sounds. Of course, you've got to move forward, but if you as an artist is based around songs, or you're based around a melodic, emotional feel, whatever your music is, then stick to that, because that's what's made you successful, and don't move away too far from the tree.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And what's the future for Paul Oakenfold then?
Well, my residency, I mean, we focused on Vegas. I mean, certainly blown up Vegas as a destination, so certainly concentrating on building that. I've signed to Sony, so my new artist record will be coming next year. And just working on with creative people and being a part of a flourishing scene, really. I'm really enjoying it. I'm on tour with Madonna at the moment, travelling as a support artist for her tour, on her tour. So I'm enjoying that. That's going well.
Are you doing the full world tour, Paul, or just the American leg?
Yeah, I mean, we go to Mexico, and then I'm yet to know whether I'm going to South America, but I've been enjoying it so far.
Well, that's fantastic. That's great. And I mean, so I mean, from a perspective then of doing doing Vegas, then I mean, you see yourself. I mean, do you see yourself continuing with the live thing for a long time to go, or do you?
Yeah, I think I enjoy it at the moment. I got back in the saddle, and I spent time away from it. So, you know, to get out and travel the world and see what's going on is enjoyable. I've always loved travelling, so at the moment I love it.
That's fantastic. That's great. And what about a new album or productions apart from your?
Yeah, I've done a few new tracks, and they will start to trickle out towards the end of the year, early next year.
Great, Paul. And so the last one is there a trick then apart from the kind of obvious things? Is there any trick or I mean, would you advise somebody who is in the spotlight to hire a publicity company, a marketing company? Would you?
I think that they should focus on social media. They should have a strong social media presence.
Okay.
That's what I would advise them, because that's where it's going. Social media is playing a bigger part of it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's fantastic, Paul. That's all we really need. That's